Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 322 for August 21st, 2019. My name is Russell Frost, and if I seem slightly confused, I am. Let's just admit it. I'm not all together. But luckily, I have three good friends here to help me through this journey into advanced tech mobility and sustainable energy. My co-host, my good friend in the Midwest, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Hi, everybody. This is a whole new thing for me. Trying to figure out the Skype thing. Sorry I missed last week, but yeah, this is quite interesting.
I still want to do the whole show as the Labbit. Is that bad? Okay, maybe that is bad.
Yeah,
next to him on my screen, and again, who knows, is our friend, the newest resident of Nova, Mr. Casey Green.
Hey everybody. So, had a blast moving with the electric car with the trailer.
Briefly, Casey. So you have a Model X, you have a U-Haul trailer, and yes, you managed to take one load up from South Carolina to Northern Virginia.
That's right.
And it went well?
It went very well. Very well.
Good.
Yeah. There was a little snafu at Rocky Mount where an individual decided that they were too good to back into the station, took the only pull-in slot, and held us up by 20 minutes.
Okay.
Because we didn't want to risk damaging their car by backing in and taking up the other spots all sideways.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that first load went, and hopefully the following subsequent loads will be smooth as well. Speaking of smooth, he is our smooth man in the Great White North. He's very moodily lit today. It's kind of a romantic look for Mr. Mark Cogman.
Hello, everybody. And I think episode this time is 332, not 322, as Russell had mentioned. So we're at 332.
Whatever.
So, thank you, Mark.
No one's counting.
I started off the show saying I'm confused.
You did.
So, and apparently I am. So we'll do that. Let's see. First story of the night. Let me go to the news. There's this thing called Monterey Car Week. I don't know if you folks are familiar with it. I am, but that doesn't mean very much, right? Monterey Car Week is a big deal in the car world. Auto journalists get to go and eat really high on the food chain. Rich people get to go look at very expensive, very rare vehicles. And there's an auction as well. And this year, a special car was being auctioned, a Porsche Type 64. This is a car made in 1939, and it's generously described as a Nazi car because, yeah, it was definitely from that time. And it's actually was made before Porsche, the car company, started. But nonetheless, this car was made by Ferdinand Porsche, but it was made from Volkswagen bits and pieces. It's a very cool car, and obviously, if you're a Porsche person, something like that has some historic value. Of course, you have to ignore the whole Nazi aspect of the thing, which in 2019 in America, right now, it's kind of hard to ignore in my world. The whole reason I bring all of this up is because Monterey Car Week is like an aberration. It is just, it's like this horrible sort of like, if there was a Simpsons episode about what rich people do, like to piss off poor people, Monterey Car Week would be it. If you remember the peasant shooting scene from the Mel Brooks History of the World movie, that's Monterey Car Week. Okay. So needless to say, there was a snafu with this Porsche Type 64. The auctioneers somehow displayed the wrong price and people were confused and excited. And then they lowered the price and then people were very confused and very agitated. Needless to say, the car didn't sell. They were expecting it to sell for upwards of $20 million, which frankly, if you have $20 million to spend on a Nazi Porsche, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got on that.
Why do they call it the Nazi Porsche? Just
I was
because
just
it was
about to say
made during World War II? Why?
It was built in 1939. Yeah, in Nazi Germany.
Okay.
When
just before the start of the war, or
Correct.
during the start of the war.
Correct.
Okay.
But okay, so here's the thing. I'm looking at the article here, and let's see this one. And I did a search for Nazi in the article to see if there was an explanation, and I found Nazi twice in the title and in the first paragraph where it says the Nazi car, with no explanation as to why this is the Nazi car. I mean, that's it. It's kind of you know, I'm just saying. I was like Mark. I was reading this whole article and I was thinking, ooh, this is going to have some tie-in. This was going to be Adolf Hitler's car, or this is going to be driven by all the generals, or you know this. No, there was none of that. It was just the major screw up that was the auction.
It may be. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, who knows? Maybe it was made for someone and they're not saying. I mean, it just something like this. Put it in a museum and just let it. You know, like the idea that somebody's going to make money off this. You know, just.
But it is a neat car. I enjoyed reading the article because it's a Porsche before Porsche was Porsche.
Right.
You know, and that, to me, that was the coolest thing. The fact that Ferdinand Porsche was building cars for people using parts from other things and just, you know, making them and, you know, maybe refining his style and, you know, his shape or, you know, whatever. I think that's really cool. And then the whole blunder thing that was it. They said it was going to be 20 million. They opened to the bidding at 30. And then this person said 770, and they were like, "Oh no, I said 17," and it was just wow. I mean, I've been to auctions where they're auctioning off like estate sales and you know and stuff, and you know it's a $23 power drill. And they get that right. You're telling me you can't auction off a $20 million car?
Is this the same one where the headlines proclaimed auctioneer's accent messes up auction?
Maybe.
I haven't seen the accent reference, but I don't know. Could have been, I guess, right?
Yeah, they said car, and so I'm trying to put two and two together. I think this might be.
Yeah. I don't know, Casey Green.
Neither?
Well, enough of that. I was just wanted to mention it because I wanted to bash on Monterey Car Week because I just hate Monterey Car Week. And don't get me wrong, if you love old cars and vintage cars and elegant old, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's so like Monterey Car Week's so out of control because every year there's some new thing. This car's going to sell for $11 billion. You know, it's like, it's such excess, you know, that, yeah, it's not for me.
You're right. I mean, you are right. If you've got $20 million to spend on a car like that, a Nazi car, donate the $20 million to an anti-Nazi charity or something.
Certainly very pertinent these days. Yeah. Well, Tony has our next story. Speaking of electric cars.
And speaking of cars and car parts and things. I mean, because this is all new, and so I'm trying to figure this out. But
we're trying to get this guy. Look at that. Nicely done, Tony.
Thank you. So, here in Wired magazine, they say an old school auto suppliers betting on electric future. And so in the article here, they talk about Continental. Now, do you guys remember the 3M commercials that they used to say, "We don't make the things you like. We make the things you like better"?
I thought that was BNSF. But yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. It was BNSF. Coming out with
BASF.
BASF. Yeah, BNSF. I think that's a railroad.
That's a railway.
So anyway, so BASF, or 3M, otherwise known as a rail company.
Some company.
And it kind of reminded me of this. So I think a lot of people driving their cars don't realize how much of their car is manufactured by this company, Continental. And Continental makes a lot of parts for internal combustion engine vehicles. They are the fourth largest auto supplier, and they have committed that they're going to stop focusing on all of their internal combustion engines, and they're going to start transitioning toward electric vehicles is what it comes down to. And their thing is, which is very forward looking, EVs still account for about 2% of new car sales in the US, but they know that's going to grow. And as the fourth largest auto parts supplier, they know that they have an opportunity right now to carve out a big piece of that pie. And this is really big news, because it's one thing for manufacturers to say that they're going to transition to electric vehicles. They say that they're going to make these things, but the problem is that they can't get good, reliable, inexpensive parts. Their EVs are going to be more expensive. So when you have a company like Continental making that transition, shifting from internal combustion vehicles to EVs and parts, that should mean the manufacturers are going to have a wider variety of parts to select from, and those parts are going to be less expensive, and everyone is going to benefit from that.
I agree, Tony. That's a very good point.
I just think this is a great transition point right now that we're seeing.
Yeah, I love the idea that a third party is now going to start maybe not making it exclusively, but certainly looking into what parts they can make for the EV market and start shipping them out and become a catalog that these manufacturers can rely upon.
Right.
They do good work too. Yeah. Also, I want to say that your screenshots, Tony, they are beautiful over our other product.
Yeah.
And this is my first time seeing you live HD since Drive Electric Week and the Drive in Wisconsin.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, off topic, but
looks good. Well, I mean, and that's definitely, we need these little steps. We need to bring down the cost of EVs, and we need to see more companies making parts for them, scaling it up, obviously.
Mm-hmm. And the competition is also good, because you've got Bosch, you've got Continental, you've got Delco, right? Denso. Well, Denso, but Delco. So the more options there are, the better chance that you can have a lower price and a better fit for all these different vehicles. Because maybe Denso makes one that's better for large cars, but the Delco one is good for small cars.
Absolutely.
Right. And we've often said that it only takes one mover, and when the competition sees that, now the industry is going to shift. So, yeah. So good news. Good news all around.
Super good news. And speaking about good news for EVs, Mark has what I'd like to think is nothing less than an incredible story about a new EV.
Yeah, this is fantastic. We've got the world's largest EV took to the road recently, and this is at a mining operation on top of a mountain. So get this, it's got a 600 kilowatt hour battery pack in it.
Is that all?
And this unit, once it's been charged once, will never have to be recharged again going forward.
Now, how does that work?
And that's what I was thinking. How is that possible? Because this unit works on top of a mountain. They're mining the top of a mountain. They're filling the box with limestone, and then this truck proceeds to go down to 13% grade. And all the way along that grade, it is, of course, regenning and storing that energy back into 600 kilowatt hour battery pack. So by the time it gets to the base of the mountain, where it's ultimately going, it dumps its load, it turns around, and it heads up the mountain again, this time minus the load. So it takes less energy to go up the hill, and it uses what was stored in it from going down the hill. So in effect, this EV will never have to be charged again as it runs its daily operation. It just
It's
goes
like
up the hill
it's
and
a
it
perpetual
charges down
motion
the hill.
machine.
Exactly. Kind of reminds me of the story we did here on What Drives Us some time ago about the rail cars that are filled with rocks and would go down a slope and regen all the way and save energy, and then they would push them back up the hill when energy was cheap. This kind of the same thing, this with the truck. So what's very cool with this truck as well is its sheer size, obviously, and it's and it's just like a regular mining truck, except it's not going to burn any fuel. So kudos to the mining company for figuring this out and putting it into a production run. Now the question is whether they will they obviously have more than one truck running. But right now the others are still the diesel versions. But obviously, if the test goes well, I'm sure it makes complete sense just to switch to EVs as time goes along, or those other trucks become out of service. So great for the mining company, and what a perfect application for an EV.
Yeah, I remember them saying that they had planned to do this sometime late last year. And I was like, well, if the numbers work out, it'd be great. And it's awesome to see they actually built it and it's in service now.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I was, I mean, it's good that it regens enough, and in some cases more than enough, because I was reading through the article and I started doing the math in my head on how long it would take to charge a 600 kilowatt hour pack on
on a 110 outlet.
Yeah.
Right, on a 110 outlet. Just plug it over there, Herb.
Yeah, when the guy's done with his job, he just drives home and puts it in the driveway and plugs it into his garage. Yeah.
Right. Gonna need a real supercharger for that one.
Yes.
But of course, I mean, I mean, can't say enough how great it is that there's literally a vehicle that never needs to refuel. It refuels itself.
So on the mega charger, it would get done in 30 minutes.
Okay, there you go.
If you could find a mega charger.
If you could, we'll park one right there.
Right.
Top of the mountain.
This is a very specific use scenario. Obviously, this isn't going to work for every dump truck at every mine, right? But it's really cool that they found something like this. They designed it, they built it, and it works.
Yeah.
That's just shows if with the right amount of ingenuity that we can solve these problems. We don't have to it's easy to throw a diesel truck in there.
It is.
But there are better solutions if we think about it.
But look at it this way. A lot of the other mines are the reverse of this. So they start at the top empty. They go down into the pit. They come back up full.
Oh, yeah.
So if this thing can handle several runs, you just have a recharging station at the top of the hill, and they're good to go.
Run by a diesel generator. No. That's when I first saw this, that was my fear. It was like, oh no. Don't tell me there's like some big generator in this thing that generates electricity and
and just some of the information from the article, it indicates that a typical dump will use somewhere between 11 and 22,000 gallons of diesel fuel per year.
Wow.
So this single unit will save up to 196 metric tons of carbon dioxide gas per year.
That's really good.
So interesting, and it'll be interesting to see if they actually move on with replacing those other diesels as time goes along.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
well,
hopefully.
Speaking of better solutions for power, Tony has a story about one.
Yeah, so pop quiz. Who, if you had to guess, who do you think tweeted out an announcement about rooftop solar? Give you a hint.
So tweets a lot?
Rhymes with Elon Musk.
Yes, so tweets a lot.
Never heard of him.
So Elon tweeted out that Tesla Solar just relaunched. Let me know what you think. Quote, with the new lower Tesla pricing, it's like having a money printer on your roof. if you live in a state with high electricity costs. Still better to buy, but the rental option makes the economics obvious. Of course it does. So,
Added savings is on by default yet again.
what?
You know how he likes to calculate the prices with savings on his websites?
Oh.
It's on again by default.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. So he says you can save $500 a year. And these are not the solar shingles. These are the solar panels that are attached to your roof. And you know I'm going to have to throw it over to Russell and ask, what's the deal with this? Why is he coming out with this announcement like now? Is there any particular reason? Are they really prepared to do this?
Are they prepared to do this? Is that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Casey.
The thing is, I prepared myself. I'm already empty.
Everybody take a drink. So, I don't have the corporate spreadsheet, but I got to think that this doesn't pencil out. This is Elon trying to avoid the lawsuit that he's facing in next month, that he didn't buy Solar City for any normal reason. He bought it to bail himself and his cousins out. That's what I think. That's probably a good portion of this. I mean, $50 a month for a basic 3.8 kilowatt system. It's not bad. You know what I mean? Like, that's okay. You know, like that's not, that could work. But the idea that you can cancel it at any time. Oh, wait, but there's a catch. You have to pay $1,500. That's 2 years of rental at $50 a month. You have to pay more if you get a bigger system too. Obviously, the bigger systems cost more per month. I think it's up to $200 a month. So does it make sense? I mean, I'm for anything that puts good solar on more roofs, because that's a good thing for all of us. To me, this is Elon's found a new way to lose money.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the next month's deposition. Or whatever, because I read an article about that, and I read one article that mentioned it, and for the life of me, I couldn't find it again, and I was starting to believe that I hallucinated it. But yeah, in that article, it, and it's all speculation, of course, but the speculation was they bought Solar City to bail out his cousin, brother-in-law, his cousin, and himself. And himself, and was not doing anything substantial with solar.
It was almost dead.
Yeah. And now he is going to be called in for a deposition to validate why he actually bought it. So a month before then, he announces this, has a product, can do sales on the website. So he can walk in, he can stroll into the deposition and say, well, what are you talking about? Didn't you know that we're renting solar panels? Well, look, we have 1,500 orders on our website. People are buying our product. What do you mean we're not taking this seriously?
Tony, that almost sounds like a conspiracy theory.
I also want to point out it doesn't include any Powerwalls.
Nope.
Right. And I mean, that's what my flat earther friends were saying.
You have flat earther friends?
Yeah.
No, it was a conspiracy theory thing that Russell was just saying. But no, I mean, the thing is, yes, it sounds like a conspiracy, but the problem is it does kind of seem to make sense.
His original tweet about the solar thing came the same day as our next story started.
Before we go there,
yeah.
So the argument is that, one, the batteries are expensive, and two, the places that they're marketing this towards are expensive electricity states, so you would have less of a need to store it because your feed-in tariff would erase the cost of the system.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. So I think not including Powerwall in this, although I think the idea of battery storage and decentralized storage grid is amazing, and we've talked about that a bunch of times in What Drives Us. But I think the idea of not including Powerwall in this makes so much sense. In fact, frankly, that I'm trying to figure out why Elon didn't automatically include 2 Powerwalls with every system as a way to lose even more money.
Because he can't make enough of them.
Right. But there's
Right.
no constraint of supply. But yeah,
But just
there's a
think,
little mixed communication there.
if they had the
Put 'em on
capacity to
cars.
make more Powerwalls, they could lose money faster. I mean, just think of the potential.
I don't know that Powerwall as a product loses money. The problem is, when I was there was a years-long backlog on Powerwall.
Hmm.
Like they had all these deposits, but they weren't shipping it. And we know why, because they were putting all the batteries in cars,
Right.
but
Especially the Model 3.
especially Casey's Model X.
No,
Yeah.
no, my
I have
Model
a
3.
650. His
Uh-huh.
Model 3.
It's
I
Coughlin's
got
fault.
all the batteries in my car.
It's Coughlin's fault.
And
You
you
took
know,
away
and,
with Powerwall, man.
and I don't know, and taking food out of the mouth of Tesla, perhaps, but not a lot of people realize that there is competition to the Powerwall. There are other companies that make home storage. It doesn't have to be a Powerwall. And if you really want one right now, you can cancel your order and you can go buy one from one of these companies that are willing to hand you one next week.
Are
They
you
all
ready
have a
to?
different. They'll have a different method of how they do the batteries. So like SolarEdge does it differently than Enphase does it differently than Tesla does. So you really gotta, once you find the method you like, if you're not gonna build it yourself, you kind of gotta buy into whichever one you've selected.
It has to match your application.
So my knowledge on this specific issue goes back a year and a half or so. It might be antiquated, but at the time, here, I'm going to say something good about Tesla. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hold on to your pants. At the time, the Powerwall was arguably the best product on the market. For instance, here in California, the big competing product sold by the big solar companies is a product by LG.
Mhm.
And LG makes great, there's nothing wrong with LG, but so the LG battery can't get hot. It can't be in the sun. It has no thermal management. Whereas Powerwall could be because it has active thermal management. So imagine trying to sell something to a person in California that can't overheat or it'll explode. Now, needless to say, LG sold batteries out here, and I know there was like a couple of people that were actually trying to make custom coolers for them and stuff. It's crazy. But so at the time, the Powerwall was a legitimately good product. It was just expensive, and it doesn't pencil out, as they say. You're not going to save money by buying a Powerwall. Powerwall buys independence from the grid. That's what it buys. It doesn't save you any money, and everybody wants, if I have batteries, I'll save money. No.
Unless you're in Australia or someplace where it's just astronomically insane. Otherwise, like you said, it's only going to save you, like in my case, in the South Carolina house, we had a minimum of an hour to 4 hours without power every month. And it would be just convenience. Like we're not sweating, we're not having to risk rebuying everything in the freezer, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if a hurricane hits, you don't have to evacuate every single time. We probably still would.
Same thing in Florida. Our power went out a couple times a month at least.
Mhm.
And to have something like Powerwall just for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
We sat in the dark and sweat because that's who we are. Well, speaking of solar, and again, and I'm going to speak for all of us here, we all love solar.
Yes.
But imagine, would you put solar on your roof if it would just spontaneously burst into flames?
I'd put it on the ground, but yes, I'd still get it.
Yeah, just for the sheer viral video potential.
Yeah.
No, not even considering my YouTube in this.
So Walmart filed suit against Tesla for installs that took place under Solar City, which is now a fully owned Tesla property. This goes back to 2012. At the time, Walmart had a pretty aggressive program. Solar City supplied 200, and depending on which story you read, either 48 or 44 Walmarts with big solar arrays on the roof of Walmart and Sam's Club stores. Starting in about a year after the first install and going up as recently as last year, Some of these installs had serious problems and literally burst into flames. 7 of them, as a matter of fact, burst into flames, setting the Walmart on fire and causing either major or minor damage. But obviously, no retailer wants to have a fire on their roof and lose electricity.
Yeah. And they even said it burned through the roof and caused millions of dollars in inventory damage. Here, I'm pulling up a picture here. I'll share this of one of the installations here.
Oh, no. The burned one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
You know
heard
going
that one of the fires was an installation that had been powered down.
Yes.
Yeah, it had been de-energized.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So the sad part about this is Walmart did inspections of. So what this lawsuit has been brewing for a couple of years now. This isn't something that just popped up on the grid. Hey, we're going to go after Tesla. Walmart and Tesla have been going back and forth about this for years. Okay. Before the Solar City acquisition, I'd like to point out the $2.6 billion acquisition. Tesla knew about this problem with Walmart. The same company they sold 45 semis to, allegedly. Yeah, you might not want to piss them off. But
were those the reservations or the paid in full?
Well, I don't.
Reservations.
But either way, the reservation was what, 5,000 at a minimum, right?
Yeah.
It was more than that, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, because they were founder series.
I don't know.
It was roughly 5,000 a pop.
Okay. I will absolutely take Mr. Coughlin's word for it. So suffice to say, a few years ago, they started, Walmart and Tesla started negotiating about this. They were inspecting these systems, and the inspections, you read the lawsuit, the inspections were horrifying. This isn't just Walmart's point of view. This is what the Tesla inspectors found. The installs seem to be, I don't want to say uniformly, but there was quite a number of them that had significant problems. Very, very bad problems, which is to say that Walmart probably got lucky with 7 fires.
I just found this paragraph, and so to quote Ars Technica, Walmart's investigation revealed that Tesla had engaged in widespread systemic negligence and failed to abide by prudent industry standards in installing, operating, and maintaining its solar systems. Damn.
So one other thing, and we talked about this on the Tesla Life, and I want to be really clear because I did a little more research in between the shows. These were all sold not as a lease to own, as a lease, or what Tesla calls a PPA, a power purchase agreement, where you agree to buy power from Tesla at a set price for a set amount of time. Tesla owns and maintains the solar panels for that time. Tesla makes a profit, obviously, by selling you electricity at a cheap rate, and they get the cash. Allegedly, it all works out on paper. I don't know if it was a financial winner or a loser for Tesla, but they've obviously incurred an enormous liability by not maintaining these systems properly, allegedly. And I guess really the point where we're at today is you have to wonder why Tesla didn't settle with Walmart. Why are they letting this go to court? What?
So somebody brought up a point to me. They said that Tesla did 30 of these inspections, and Walmart only quoted 29 of them that were horrible. Would that last one have made a difference at all? And what was in it? Why they didn't choose to include it in their suit? Because they're obviously only going to show stuff that shows their side of the story. So I'm curious what Tesla has to say about it. But from now, it doesn't look like they could do anything to make this any softer of a blow.
I mean, this is a potentially huge blow. And here's
allegedly.
Do you want to see that picture again?
Excuse me.
We don't know that the Walmart maintenance guy didn't do that.
Here's the only reason I bring this up. And all of you out there that are Tesla fans are going, God, there's Russell bashing Tesla. That's not what this is about. What my concern with Tesla's sketchy practices, dodgy, questionable, however you want to picture it, my main issue with that has always been the impact it has on the greater industry and about how that product, whether it's electric cars or solar power, that I don't want them to shit the bed for solar power so that everybody goes, I don't want any of those panels on my roof. They explode on top of the Walmart.
Right, right.
That hurts everyone. That hurts all of us. That sets everything back. And that's what irritates me. That's why I can't understand why Tesla wouldn't have settled, found some way to work this out with Walmart, because clearly Walmart doesn't want to sue them. They just want to be made whole, as the saying goes.
Right. And keep it out of the news, you know?
Well, apparently they don't care. I mean, that's
not anymore.
That's
They've waited long enough. Yeah. Also, to the conspiracy theory I spoke to on the Tesla Live, obviously Walmart's not going to risk their property and their customers by setting fire to their stores on purpose. So, tongue in cheek, all of that.
That's pretty lame.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to arson just to get a few dollars saved.
Yeah. Yeah, this isn't mom and pop's hardware store in the corner of Main and 3rd.
Right, and this is chump change to them. I mean, it's noticeable chump change, but it's chump change. So they just want for
Tesla?
For Walmart. So they just want to be made whole. Yeah, no, that's a significant amount of money for Tesla. If you've got the CEO and the CFO going over pages of all the transactions, you got some financial issues to contend with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything on this?
I do want to update my point. The semi reservation is 20,000, not 5.
Thank you.
Wow.
I thought it was $5.
A lot of money.
Yeah. But again, for Walmart, 30 times or 45 times 20, whatever.
Yeah,
right. But
not a big deal.
Said, for Tesla, it's a lot of money, and if they lose that order, they not only lose the cash and the rest of the order, they also lose anybody who references Walmart as the gold standard for their industry, or who Walmart is going to hit with the big stick. This is the way we're going to do it. You need to use this truck because this is how we do things at Walmart.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, right. And if they cancel those orders, they're going to go to somewhere else, maybe, to buy an electric truck.
They're going to go to Nikola.
Nikola, it could be, or Freightliner. Is it?
Yeah, Freightliner,
is it Freightliner or International?
Yeah.
How realistic a replacement that is, I don't know.
Yeah, but we know that Walmart has that potential, like Casey said, to push changes on their suppliers and push changes on other people. And again, I mean, I just mentioned in that Continental article that when, competitors see one big player making a transitional shift, they want to follow along because, Target doesn't want to give Walmart the ability to say that they're the only ones using electric trucks and, whatever.
Look what happened with Coke and Pepsi, FedEx and UPS. They were all right after one another when they did the announcement. Right. We bought the truck. No, we bought more of the truck. Sorry.
Yeah.
Mark?
Nope. We've beat this one to death.
Let's beat it. Let's move on to beating something that I love to death. I have spoken many times, and many of us have here, about Waze. I love Waze. Waze is the app if you drive, especially in California. I use it constantly. It is so helpful. There was an interesting story, fascinating story in LA Magazine about Waze and what it's doing. And I mentioned this a while ago. I had taken a random trip up to Los Angeles, and I've lived up there for many years, so I know my way around, and it's all arterially, and there's some shortcuts here and there, but traffic was horrible. It was 5 p.m., boom, Waze, and Waze is routing me through neighborhoods in Beverly Hills and up in the canyons that I've never been on. Weird little streets. Well, imagine that times 100,000. And you will imagine what is going on in Los Angeles as more people are trying to cut 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes off their commute by following Waze. And Waze is literally packing these side streets with cars because they're slightly faster than the arterial roads. And the people that live in these neighborhoods, to put it politely, they're shitting bricks. Because a lot of these, again, I went through little side streets in Beverly Hills and then up into the one side in the Hollywood Hills. These are not neighborhoods that are used to having a lot of traffic, nor do they enjoy it. They're well-off people, and they've been making a lot of noise. And that is part of the yeah, there you go. And I think I went up that street, actually, on my way to the Griffith Park Observatory. That is what they're seeing. Now, so Waze is, I hate to say that Waze is causing a problem, because it's people using a product and following their directions, trying to save time in a commute. Is this Waze's fault?
Oh, it's not people. It's tens of thousands of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is if 5 people were to follow Waze, they'd be fine. But it's 50,000 that follow it through that neighborhood.
I used Waze all the time in Charleston to get around the crash derby that they seem to have every morning, and it would do the same thing. It would send me through, hey, here's a trailer park. Go through there, make a left. You got it. Boom, you're at work. You've avoided an hour of just idiocracy. And so I continued this habit when I came to DC. And I found that I don't know if it was an update or if there's just that many more Tesla owners here, but the Tesla Nav is actually saving me another 5 to 10 minutes over Waze. I actually run them both at the same time, and then I take the turn that Tesla says, and then Waze updates, and you see their time go down. They're like, yeah, this is a good way. So I don't know if that's something unique to the area or if I missed an update where they just suddenly got better. But it's the same concept, though, where these people don't expect you to be coming through, and they can't hear me unless it's like 1,000,000 degrees out, then they hear the fan.
But yeah, and Russell, you're exactly right. This is a fascinating article.
Yeah.
And everyone needs to read this. It's not a fast read. It is a long article, but there's a lot of really good stuff in here. But it is the fact, and it's mentioned several times, that is it the people or is it the technology? And what happens is you have people who are following the technology. If they knew better, maybe they wouldn't do it. But you have people who are just blindly following what Waze is telling them to do. So they don't realize that they're about to exit an interstate and get on this residential street, like that picture we saw up in the mountains with no curb and no sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's out walking their dog, and they talked about semis that are stranded, or they're stuck on a hairpin turn because Waze said that's the faster route. Didn't take into consideration that the person driving the vehicle had a 80-foot semi and wouldn't be able to make that turn, and that person's just do. This is what Waze says to do, and now they're stuck and they're blocking traffic.
My very first experience with Waze was they sent me up a mountain on a dirt road, 1 lane. I was almost done with it. I had installed the product and didn't try it again for years because of this. It's like it was insane.
There was one reference in here. It's way too long for me to find, but during the wildfires, someone said that Waze was telling them to drive into the wildfire because that would save them time.
Right.
If you got a fireproof car, that's the fastest way.
Right. Nobody's reporting the wildfire there. Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of the article deals with the lack of communication between the city of Los Angeles and Waze, how they had a partnership. It wasn't super productive, apparently, for the city. So that ended. And I can sum up this problem, and it has nothing to do with Waze.
Right.
Too many cars.
Yes.
Too many cars. The solution is not better nav or more cooperation between the city and Waze. The solution is getting some of those cars off the road.
Tunnels.
That's the solution.
Tunnels.
Tunnels. Oh my God.
So did they touch on what you brought up last time we touched on the subject, where some of the neighborhoods are reporting fake road closures and fake car crashes to try and keep it out?
Yeah. And and some of the people are re-editing the maps to not include their streets at all, and then other people are going back in and putting the stuff back. I mean, and I get it. Like, some of it's just NIMBYism, and you know what? Like, it's okay if cars go by my house, but you don't want cars by your house. Well, damn, maybe vote for some more mass transit. You won't have that problem.
Right.
Musk tubes.
Yeah, and we talk about that so much. But part of the solution is mass transit, and affordable and desirable mass transit.
Come on, focus.
Yeah. Desirable, and then it has to run on a schedule that makes sense. I mean, so many of these American cities, the mass transit will run once every half hour, once every hour, once every 3 hours. If that's the only, you're not gonna get anybody out of a car with that. And if that's all you can afford, that's going to limit your job opportunities, your schooling opportunities, and just your ability to just run your day-to-day stuff.
This sort of dovetails in with the whole idea that mass transit is for poor people. And
it should not be.
It shouldn't be at all. But there are very few cities where that really isn't true.
Right.
San Francisco, New York are certainly two of them where lots of people use the mass transit. But we have to move past this thing where mass transit is for poor people.
Yeah, I would say I've traveled, and there's only like a few dozen countries in Europe where a lot of people take mass transit, and I say that tongue in cheek. Because Russell said there's only a few cities where that's true. I'm like, go to Europe, because I will leave work and go to the train platform, and there are hundreds of people from all socioeconomic backgrounds, and a lot of people in suits waiting for the train, some of them hopping on bikes to ride home. And there's like, not everyone hops in a car to drive.
And then you've got cities like the one in Florida that just rip out their mass transit, the buses, and give you Uber tickets, which adds more cars to the road.
Well, we don't want to go too old school and talk about the ripping up of the trolleys by General Motors.
Which, I mean, LA at one time had this amazing light rail network. Until the advent of the automobile. I really enjoyed riding the subway when I was up in LA for the auto show last November. It was a revelation because the last time I'd been there 20 years before, it didn't exist. There were bad buses and that was it. And by bad buses, like what Casey's saying, like once every 3 hours, maybe a bus comes by. Maybe.
You better hope he's not on break or missed it for some reason.
Yeah, it's just the bus system in LA was horrible, but LA's made some good steps and they need to make more. They need to build that light rail into the valley over the 405. And you know what? If somebody had balls, and unfortunately no one has balls this big, but they'd kill the middle 2 lanes on each side of the 405 and put the light rail right there. But
like here in DC, they've got the express lane. It runs even further than it did when I was a kid. You can pay anywhere from $5 to $50 to get there a little bit faster. Put something in there. I mean, something that everybody can use.
I love the idea of the light rail in the middle of the road because that just reinforces during rush hour that these people are moving faster and they're unimpeded by traffic, and you're sitting there pulling your hair out waiting for the traffic to move.
There are several instances of this in Chicago where you have the interstates, on either side, and the trains zipping by. You're sitting in traffic and you might watch 4 trains, heading in your direction, zip by, and you haven't even traveled a mile. Yeah.
I mean, we're around the corner from the VRE station. That helps a little bit. Georgia's got BARDA, which is terrible, but it works for those people that they're on the path. It's just, it seems that they know what to do, but they just don't, like you said, they don't have the guts to do it right. Another thing that would help is if more people could either vary their start and stop times or do remote work. I know not everything can be done remote, but there's a bunch of crap that we just go into the office for no good reason for.
Yeah, I'm personally, I'm looking for every opportunity to not go into the office.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Any final thoughts on that, kids?
No,
Nope. Anybody got one more thing?
Not today.
I do
Oh,
not.
Wow. Okay. Color me surprised. Well, then let's do some shout-outs and go home. We've done a fine job.
Hey.
Casey Green, let's start with you. I hear you have a YouTube channel.
I do. It's youtube.com/Casey Green, KACEYGREEN. There's over 100 videos there. I've made some more. The camera broke, and I've got to send it in for warranty work. And then there'll be even more after that. So probably next week, the week after, when I go to do the next U-Haul trip with the Model X, I'll make sure that some way, somehow, that computer makes it into the car or on the car or whatever. And then we'll get back to putting out fresh videos for you. But I am still recording stuff.
I was going to say, we need a GoPro on top of that trailer.
Yes, that would be
Or
awesome.
facing, looking at the trailer. I don't know. As you drive on I-95 and cars like try to sideswipe you.
They do. I don't know what it is. They pass the trailer just fine, and they get to me, and they want to like sideswipe me. I'm like, what the hell?
One of the most aggressive highways in the United States.
Yeah.
95's awful.
It is.
Well, definitely check out Casey Green on YouTube. Mr. Coughlin.
I just wanted to showcase a couple events we're having shortly. This Saturday, we're having a Tesla barbecue in Kitchener. If you want to join us, you can visit us at www.tinyurl.com/TeslaBBQ. So sign up there. And also I wanted to give a shout out to National Drive Electric Week that's coming up at the end of September. And we have an event in Cambridge on the 21st. So you can visit us on the National Drive Electric Week website, sign up there, and we will see you in Cambridge on the 21st.
Yay! Tony Schaefer, my friend, bring us home.
So I want to remind everyone that if you want to read all the news that we're reading, be sure to check us out online. First of all, go to our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/whatdrivesus. And oh, hold on. I need to look this up. It'll take just a second.
Uh-oh. Tony's looking something up?
Yeah,
Reference
I know,
material?
right? It was, shoot, I know I was going to leave it. I can't remember now who it was, but the Tesla Solar came from one of our listeners. Do you happen to remember who that was from, Russell? Jeremy Big Dog Ray. There he is.
Oh, Jeremy. Thank you.
Shout out to Jeremy. Yeah, he keeps sending us news articles. And so, we try to put those on. So if there's a news article that you have stumbled upon and you think that we want to talk about it, even if it is just to hear Russell rant about Tesla so that we can all take a drink, make sure and send it to us on Facebook. Secondly, if you use Flipboard as a news aggregator, be sure to subscribe to the What Drives Us magazine. Philip Barclay and I have been populating that with articles as we read them and find them. And finally, I want to take a minute, not even a minute, I want to take 30 seconds, give a shout out to our sponsors, namely Marc Lefrançais, Gayon Silver, Boondoggy, Emmanuel Dupont, Jeff Crompton, El Jamo, Al Tang, Anas Bozid, and all of our most recent subscribers. Thank you to all of you who watch or listen to the show. We appreciate every single one of you, and our hats off. You are our sponsors.
Nicely said, Mr. Schaefer. Wow. Did you write that down?
Well, see, that's where I was last week. I was writing that down. Yeah.
That's impressive. Wow. Wow. Well, speaking of last week and next week, so for the next 2 weeks, What Drives Us is going to be on hiatus. I am doing a cross-country move, and sadly, are going to be out, and so we will be back the second week in September. And if I had my act together, I'd have a calendar here, and I would know that would be, we will be back on September 11th. That's Wednesday, September 11th. So it's the summer, lighten up, relax, go have some fun, go to the beach, go to the lake, do something fun. We'll miss you. Mm-hmm. Maybe you'll miss us, hopefully, but we'll be back. As always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for our amazing theme music. You can visit him at manthing.com. You can support the show for as little as $1 a month. That's less than 25 cents per show on patreon.com/whatdrivesaShow. That's patreon.com/whatdrivesaShow. Please consider supporting us there. Of course, youtube.com/whatdrivesus. Do subscribe. We definitely want your help. We are trying desperately to get to 1,000 subscribers, and we are getting very close. We need your help. Suggest us to your friends, share our videos, and ask them to subscribe too. Super important, and it helps us. And unlike Patreon, it doesn't cost you $1 a month. Wait a second. What's $1 a month? Oh, okay. Sorry. You don't get donations by berating people, do you?
No, typically not.
Not usually.
Doesn't NPR do that though? Like, you rotten
yes.
people taking our content for free. I don't think that's going to fly with our crowd.
No, probably not.
That.
I have an idea.
I want to thank Casey Green, Mark Coughlin, and Tony Schaefer, as always, for making another fantastic show.
I have an idea.
Thank you.
While we're out, everybody tell us what your favorite show is. Your favorite episode of this show.
Favorite episode of the show? Oh, Casey's thinking about
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Hit us up on Facebook and tell us what you think.
There you go. Facebook.com/whatdrivesus. Thanks again. And of course, thanks to all of you out there watching and listening. You're the reason we do the show. So thank you so much. Tune in 2 weeks on September 11th and find out what drives us.